That one's acceptable. Ancient Tomb, Jaws the Void deck. Perfectly fine. Alright, back to Modern. We've played Impact Tremors a few times before, last year and the year before. So it's one of the kind of fringe Modern decks that we had played and had a small amount of success with, alongside Norin the Wary and Genesis Chamber Hero. But this is one of the decks where, as the format's gotten more aggressive and linear, decks like this kind of got edged out because they're just not super fast and they're not super interactive. That being said, Modern has kind of been pushing towards more fair decks recently, and this deck's very reasonable against other fair decks, so hopefully we'll have a good time with that. We have 4 copies of Seasoned Pyromancer, which is obviously a new card, so we'll see how that one feels. Yeah, I cut the 3rd Gemstone Mines, or Caverns, whatever it's called. Yeah, I chose to play a deck that didn't have Chalice of the Void, Brainstorm Ponder, or Force of Will in it, Bob. Basically a huge mistake was made. Morning, Stormy. I'm just consistent. I just show up day in and day out. When I get a little bit bored with something, I just change gears. I don't just sign off. I'll just skip a bunch of days. This Scavenger's Ground might be really good here. I think a lot of the Teleria West decks in this format are Living End decks. For people not familiar with Modern, the reason I conceded there was the hand I kept basically did nothing against my opponent's deck. And that's just kind of the gamble you tend to take in this format sometimes when you're playing a deck that's trying to be a little bit interactive. This card's probably too slow and clunky. Maybe Outpost Siege is too slow and clunky. Do I want Abrade here? Probably don't want Abrade, actually. I might want Boltza's Reach to help me race. Yeah, these are probably better than some of these 4s. Alright, let's give this a try. Morning, Wunk. The plan is essentially get Impact Tremors or Purphoros or Genesis Chamber into play, and then get a card like Norin the Wary or Seasoned Pyromancer, things that put a lot of creatures into play or have creatures that enter play repeatedly to deal chip shots to your opponent. Yeah, I shouldn't have broken my legacy rule and accepted Landzaner. That deck's been a dumpster fire the last 2 times we played it now. Probably gonna do a third moto deck this morning. Sure. We have Seasoned Pyromancer to ditch the second Purphoros, which is nice. No, not really, Max. When I want to play more casual games, I tend to play board games as opposed to Magic. Playing Magic casually is very expensive. This is why I cut the 3rd Gemstone Caverns from this deck. This can't block Listener Elf anyways. Alright, well, I mean, they're giving us a chance. They're trying to throw. They're trying their very hardest to throw the game, but our deck's just not having any of it. Hey, Austin, yeah, Underlords is great. I hope that game takes off. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Outpost Siege trigger deals damage to anything, so that seems good. Extra Abrade seems great. I don't think Dire Fleet's good enough. Is Ensnaring Bridge a card I want to play in this matchup? It probably is, right? It probably is. Maybe Dire Fleet's fine just as a first striker. It, like, blocks pretty well. I'm probably not racing with Zurgo. They could have copies of Inkmoth decks potentially, so, like, Pillage is probably better than Zurgo. Let's give this a try. To a degree, we've been a little unlucky, but you gotta remember when, like, you're playing a low-power deck like this, a lot of your times your stuff's just not gonna come together against decks that are doing stronger things. Although, just like, never having a second and third land is definitely more than a little unlucky. Alright, this is it. If we curve out 1, 2, 3, 4 here, we're gonna be in an incredible spot. This is kind of our nuts draw. So, Norin the Wary leaves play until end of turn whenever a player casts a spell or attacks. And Genesis Chamber says whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if this is in play, a creature's controller gets a token. Perfect. All right, if we can draw a... If we draw a land next turn and get this Outpost Siege down, we might have a shot here. Of course, my opponent also might just kill us this turn with their Inkmoth Nexus, so there's that too. Hey, Ash, good morning. If they have what's it called? If they have the Worm card and double Mutagenic, we're dead. Hey, look, there's Scale Up. How many Mutagenic growths? Good chance we just die next turn. And this is a good example of, like, decks like this tend to, like, not be linear enough to race the good modern decks and not be interactive enough to, like, keep them from killing you. Yeah, Ichor Mirror is a card that's played with some frequency. Our opponent looks to be playing a bit of a brew version of Infect. They look to be green-white as opposed to traditional green-blue. It's actually 4 o'clock where I am right now. 4 in the afternoon or 4 in the morning? 4 in the morning would put you in Hawaii, right? Hey, look at that. We died on their 4th turn because we weren't interactive and we didn't kill them on our 4th turn. So let's try again. Let's try again. Green-White's been making their rounds on some YouTube content. Sounds reasonable. And listen that. For the privilege of losing those matches, this only cost us $10. Oh, I can just delete messages now. As a heads up, outro 2 Pierce. That is generally I'm very pro promoting other content creators, but that specific content creator you just mentioned, someone who's incredibly toxic. So I'd prefer if you don't mention their stuff in my channel. And if you're someone who isn't familiar with who I'm referring to, that's good. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. I mean, I guess I keep this hand because it's a 6-card hand, but, like, this is a hand that, like, it needs to draw land to cast its 4-mana spells, but, like, it also needs to draw creatures to do something meaningful. Yeah, no worries, Outro. Alright, the real question is, what are we playing for our next deck today? Scholar, do you still have something you're interested in cutting in? Otherwise, I'll just grab the top thing from the queue. Because even if we play the last 3 matches with this, we'll probably be done by 11. Or done by 10-ish. Oh, look! Someone that's gonna try and kill us on turn 3. Look at this. Look at these incredibly interactive and interesting games. Oh, yay! Vizier! Yay! Yay! Vizier! And we died. For people not familiar, these 2 cards give my opponent infinite green mana. This card lets my opponent look through their entire deck and get a creature that eventually kills us. If we go 0306, I'm going to be done. We're going to board in some cards. We don't even have that many cards to board in here, right? I have like 2 copies of Abrade for like these 2 Ensnaring Bridges. I guess. Like, we're not racing them, so I guess I'll board an Outpost Siege to try and draw some extra cards. Daredevil doesn't really do anything here. Would I like to play Jeskai Tempo again? Yeah, Jeskai Tempo is great, Marty. In fact, Burgle and I were working on that before we started. We actually just tuned up the sideboard. Marty with the giant pile of sub-gifties. The early bird gets the sub-gifties. Welcome to our newest members of Hoaglandia. Yeah, it's a keep rate. I get to have Abrade for a little bit of interaction. I do not Stormy Waters. Everything that's in the deck queue is... I have a couple of submissions I still haven't responded to yet, but you can see the new standard decks are in the deck queue under new standard. That's great, Thunderwonk. Ugh. And like, now it's just not optional, right? Like I have to kill this. Because I can't kill Devoted Druid if they have that in play. So like, had to kill that, because otherwise it protects Devoted Druid. And like, now I don't have an interactive card to stop the Devoted Druid from killing me next turn. So like, dig for removal, hope not to die. No, yeah, always. We play a ton of different games here. Never be worried about asking Underlords questions while we're playing Magic. Magic while we're playing Underlords. Standard while we're playing Modern. Modern while we're playing Standard. Play a ton of different games here. So if they have any of their payoffs here, we're dead. Yep. All right. To give a wrap on decks like this deck is neither linear enough to race the good linear decks in Modern, like Devoted Druid and like Tron, and it's not interactive enough to keep ourselves from losing to those decks in the meantime. Am I going to do any sub-only streams? Not those sort of thing. No, not at all. The only reason I moved chat to sub-only while we were playing Magic is because I genuinely felt my content was suffering from the rate at the chat was moving. It wasn't... One of the things I think I'm really good at is being able to be as interactive as possible and answering a lot of chat questions, and I felt like my channel had gotten big enough that I wasn't able to keep up with that anymore. So that's why I moved the chat to sub-only, to provide a better content experience. And locking my content to just specific people isn't what I'm interested in. Can Jeskai go 15-0? That would be a big ask. Yeah, Jin, in general, chat's been sub-only for a long time. I've been disabling sub-only mode while we're playing Underlords because the viewer count tends to be lower while we play Underlords. So it's a little bit more manageable, but yeah. Yeah, the chat's been sub-only since March, I think. Hey, K-Dog, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Alright, I gotta go get cards for this. Sorry. I can only get cards for 2 Moto decks at a time, so... Yeah, not only is Underlords free, but you literally can't give them money currently. That's great. Thanks, Ocho. And thanks for being an adult. So just a couple of minutes while I swap some things out here. The main deck of this deck's been mostly staying the same. I've been poking around at a couple of cards in the sideboard. We are going to play sub-games of Underlords again today. So if you're a sub and want in on sub-games, make sure you're in the Discord server. I'll be posting the links there. Force of Negation, Marty. I wanted another card for, like, the blue-white matchup. And Force of Negation is, like, pseudo-graveyard hate. It exiles Faithless Looting, at least, and Loam. Do you have enough blue cards to support Force Negation? Yeah, almost certainly. This is 9, 8 is 17. I have 21 in the main deck, and I'm probably boarding out non-blue cards for Force of Negation. Hey, Aaron, thank you for the 7 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And folks that are wondering where standard content is, we'll be diving headlong into a ton of standard next week, I promise. I'm planning to do 10 hours of standard on Arena Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. I'm just poking around with some other things while standards dry. How do you feel about Grafdigger's Cage? I think Cage is fine if you can't play Rip and you're not interested in playing Leyline. But I think Rip and Leyline tend to be better. Oh wait, did I not drop this league? No, I did. I did. Did I drop? Any M20 spoilers jump out at me for standard? Not really. There's a few things I want to try, and like the thing about oh, did I not drop the Legacy League? That's what happened. That's what happened. I didn't drop the Legacy League. Because we're playing 2 different formats today. Stupid Moto. Just getting cards in this application is so annoying. God bless traders. Without traders, this application would actually be unusable. Nice, Epic. Thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, the weird borders on these cards means they're not currently in my collection. I am waiting. I had messed up. I forgot to drop my league, so I couldn't send the cards back to my MTGO Traders rep. So they're gonna swap cards with me here in a second, now that I'm done being an idiot. Because I had dropped the Modern League, but I forgot we played Legacy, and that was also a dumpster fire, and I needed to drop that. Jane, thank you for your very generous support. You've been around a while. Thanks for keeping me here. Go back to playing Hex. Oh, rip Hex. The Legacy deck was lands. Get matching Helix in here. I miss Hex too. It was a good game. Yeah, I thought about Obstructionist more, and I looked at the curve. And the curve of the deck really just wanted more too, so I put the Spreading Seas back in. Hey, Han Solo, thank you for the very generous tier 2 resub. And for the 5 months, I appreciate that. And Jin, if there's any specific Magic stuff you'd like to see, be sure to let me know.